Support for the show comes from Delta Airlines. No matter who you are or where you're going, Delta believes that you deserve to fly in the utmost comfort and style. It's about more than just getting you from point A to point B. Flying with Delta means you get a curated experience both on the ground and in the sky. From planning to arrival, the Fly Delta app is your ultimate travel companion, with AI-powered capabilities coming soon for maximum efficiency. And stay connected at every stage of your journey with fast, free Delta Sync Wi-Fi presented by T-Mobile. Available to SkyMiles members on most domestic flights. Go to deltaunlocks.com to learn more about the future of travel with Delta.
Hello and welcome to Vergecast, the flagship podcast of bowling.
Can we pivot to that? This feels good.
It does feel good. I'm your friend Nilay. David Pierce is here.
Hello. Do you spin the ball when you bowl? Like, does it go? Does it do the?
I don't want to tell you my moves. We are live at CES. We're at Brooklyn Bowl. We have a live audience. Say hello to the live audience. Live audience, say hello to the listeners. It's crazy in here. Delta has taken over Brooklyn Bowl on our behalf. There's Vergecast logos at the bar on all the screens. This is a super cool room. Thank you all so much for being here with us. If you're listening, we're going to try to keep this on the rails as much as we ever keep a Vergecast on the rails. But I have to be honest with you, just the presence of this crowd has me knowing that things are going to get super weird on this episode of the Vergecast. It's going to be great. Jen, Allison, and V are going to join us. We're going to talk about everything that's happening at CES across their beats, across other beats. There's a helicopter that lands in a van that I really, really want to talk about.
You've brought this up so many times now, and you keep bringing it up in such a way where you're like, you don't think it's cool, but you've now said it so many times that I'm like, Nilay actually thinks this is very cool.
It's a lot. We're gonna get in. I don't want to waste it. We're gonna get into it. But we're gonna have lightning rounds, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's Vergecast.
Sponsored by all these people.
David, tell me, what's your vibe on CES this year?
It's been a weird CES. There hasn't been the thing. I feel like last year the Rabbit R1, which sucks, was the thing at CES. It was the gadget that a lot of people were talking about and interested in. And this year it's almost too practical. All the stuff I'm excited about and that we're going to talk about is real things that real people are going to use, which is not what CES is about. Yeah. CES is about deranged ideas about technology. And there are lots of those. And we will get to many of them, including helicopters that come out of the back of cars. But it just doesn't feel like there has been the one sort of breakout thing yet, which in terms of stuff that regular people will actually buy, it's probably a good CES on that front. But it doesn't feel quite CES-y that way. Does that make sense?
So I have another theory about what's going on at CES. And it's my face hugger theory of technology.
Okay.
Or what, aliens burst out of the chest. There's CES, the show that we all think we're coming to with the gadgets and the TVs and whatever. And then at the Aria, there's the marketing people.
Yes.
There's some marketing people here. Be careful. They're going to latch onto your face. And then
you can tell it's it's much better dressed people walking much more intentionally at the Aria than at the Venetian.
Well, I'll get to that in 1 second. They're definitely better dressed. Intentionally seems maybe... So if you just think about what's going on in technology broadly, right? We all have screens. The screens have apps. They show you video. They show you AI slop, whatever they're showing you. And in the middle, all that's funded by advertising. And sometime over the past decade, the advertising industry realized that they should be here where everyone is going to talk about next year's screens. And then they have the money. And the helicopter car guy is I'm here too. And so it's just this other parallel CES is here where if you want to meet 300 Meta executives, they're at the Aria. They're not on the show floor. If you want to see the entire Amazon's ads team or all the TikTok people, they're here. A lot of the major company executives are here. They're just deal making about ads somewhere else. And the show floor is it's not what it used to be. And so I think that's where you get there's not one big thing that everyone's talking about, because the one big thing everyone's talking about is programmatic advertising.
Well, and the other one is AI, which I was talking to one of them, I'm going to steal our thunder from one of our guests here, who was saying basically the strange thing about AI is you can't demo it to anybody. Yeah. It's just a thing that happens, but it actually just looks like a television. So you're this television has a chat bot. And it's well, A, what does that mean? And B, how do you show that on a show floor? So it's Samsung just had a ship because that's the only thing there is to show is, look, it's
the Samsung booth has a sign in it. And if you have been to the show floor, the Samsung booth has a sign in it that says smart things for ships. This is real, which seems dangerous to me as a person who runs smart things in his home. We'll have Jen on later. We can ask her if she thinks smart things is appropriate.
I will just say,
for seabound navigation.
You spend a tremendous amount of time talking about how your goal is boat money. And I feel like smart things for ships, boat money, like there's a straight line in there.
Well,
for
so
you
right
somewhere.
next to smart things for ship is a sign that says society. It's not even like connected society. It's just the word society. And it's like Samsung is announcing society, and next to society, their vision for it is that your ship will have smart home technology on it. And you're like, I think this is a dangerous approach to what we're doing. But it's really weird. Like Samsung is showing all these like solutions. There's no products in their booth, which is really weird. There's a model of a ship and the word society. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about the Frame TV. I promise you we're going to talk about Frame TV.
Those are the two wolves inside
and
of each
the
of us.
Frame TV is not even being demoed in that booth. The art gallery of the Frame TV is being demoed in that booth. So it's just a very odd moment for, I think, a lot of these companies where they're over the hardware race.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of the younger companies, the TCLs, are like still super in the hardware race. I will say, and we should talk about this quickly, we're going to talk about this a lot, I suspect, for the next 4 years, because there are so many marketers here, and because there are so many major technology company executives here. Meta announced yesterday that they're getting rid of fact checking, they're changing their community standards, and we've been able to do a bunch of reporting about that because everyone's here. And then sort of like, what does it mean to advertise on Meta when their community guidelines are changing is a thing that I've just had conversations about because all of those folks are here. And that's not usually what you expect from CES. I'm assuming you came here to hear me rant about the Frame TV and not about Meta's community guidelines, although it's the Vergecast, so I'm hoping that you all understand both things will always happen at the same time. But that, to me, has been the story of the show, just because of the rooms I have happened to be in.
Yeah.
Everyone is talking about it.
Oh, for sure.
Because it feels like the whole tech industry is now in a much more transactional place, cynically transactional. And that announcement coming on the first day of CES, I think, is no accident of timing. Because all of Meta's marketers are here with their clients explaining what they mean when they say you can now refer to women as household objects on Meta, which is a rule that they have changed. Yep. That's a rule that you can do. And the reason they announce it here is because their salespeople are sitting with their biggest clients being like, here's how this is actually going to play out. And I think that has gotten a little bit lost, right? Like, yes, the timing is weird. Yes, Mark Zuckerberg made what appears to be like a hostage video. Is anyone here good at makeup? Can someone help him so he's not always blown out in the T-zone? Like, I look great in eyeliner, and that's all I know how to do, but my goth phase did not. He always looks like he just needs to get evened out. It's just facts.
But this is also just what he does every 4 years now, is make one of those videos where he takes the opposite position of the one that he took 4 years ago.
Right, and it's super cynical. I think he's gotten a little bit radicalized. Right, he gets yelled at a lot. I think none of the big tech companies liked working with the Biden administration because the Biden administration's approach to the big tech companies was effectively, what if you didn't exist? Right? It's true. They all hated Lena Khan. They all hated this Department of Justice. Google has 2 antitrust cases brewing. Meta has a big one coming up in April that I think the FTC is running about Instagram and WhatsApp and potentially breaking that apart. So I think they all just made their deal with the devil to be like, we give Trump money, maybe these problems will go away. And I think part of that is Mark literally using a lot of, like he says, the legacy media is lying to you, like in that video. He says transgenderism, and he says that the rule is now you can refer to being gay or transgender as a mental illness. These are dog whistles to a community that is very, very receptive to them. And all of that is transactional.
Right.
Whether or not he believes it, I don't know. There's a lot of gay and trans people who work at Meta. Like, he has to support his own team in some way, and I think he's going to have to explain that.
It also doesn't matter. Like, I think the lesson we're learning here really quickly is that what Mark Zuckerberg believes or what Tim Cook believes or what any of these folks believe actually doesn't matter. Like, they will run their companies as business people. And I think the thing that is happening is we either have to decide to stop being surprised or like dedicate ourselves to continuing to be angry that this happens. But this is just, everyone has just said what it is now.
I was with another big tech company executive yesterday, and they were just like, we're treating this time it's business. And that was just the point of view that they had. And
it's just been business the whole time, but I think that there was a long period of time where there was a sense that like, okay, maybe we are going to buy into this new world where like young people care about values and each other, and we're going to save the world, and ESG is going to be a part. And then everybody has decided, oh, never mind, that's actually not what it is. We're just going to win at capitalism, and that is the game.
Yeah. So we're going to cover this a lot, I think, over the next 4 years. We already have some further coverage scheduled for next week on both the site and the podcast. But I wanted to call it out at the beginning, one, because when you're like, what's the story of CES? For me, part of the story of CES is the marketing industry is here, like in force. It is driving the show in a way that is basically invisible, even on our site. Like our site is basically like, look at this laptop, it folds in half, and that's really fun, and I love it. But the money here is all in the ARIA. It's all a lot of people talking about how to command attention. And the story of the show over there has been the biggest advertising platform around has made this big capitulation, this very transactional, very cynical capitulation. And I think that's going to have repercussions across the tech industry.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have to spend $270 million in Pennsylvania, like you won't. And I think they're all going to learn that lesson from Mark. And I think the question is like, does anybody here think Mark Zuckerberg is not like a ruthless transactional businessman? Bowling?
Yeah.
He gave me one of these.
Yeah.
Like a half and half. Does anyone think Tim Cook is not a ruthlessly transactional businessman? Like Tim Cook famously, the "Why are you still here" story. You guys know the story where like they were talking about some problem with the supplier in China, and his lieutenant was here, and he looked at him and he said, "Why are you still here?" And the guy got up, left the room, and flew to China. Yeah, that guy, he's going to be able to handle it, right? He handled Trump excellently the first time. Bezos, ruthlessly transactional businessman. Yep. And then you've got like Sundar. Like, can he do it? Like, can Evan Spiegel roll up to Mar-a-Lago and be like, I've redesigned the Snapchat interface again? Like, I think this is going to have huge repercussions across the tech industry because you need to be a kind of personality. And so we're going to cover it, I think, for the next 4 years. But I think now we should cover gadgets.
Can we talk about the biggest question of CES? This is the all that stuff is, more important, whatever. The question I have about CES is the Frame Pro actually a good television?
All right.
This question sincerely. So Chris Welch on our team wrote about the Samsung The Frame. I've learned that it's not called The Frame television. It's called The Frame, which is ridiculous and I hate it. But the Frame Pro is a new TV. And he started by being like, oh, this thing might kick ass. It's very cool. Lots of new stuff. And over the course of like 72 hours has come to basically, I have been lied to. This thing might be awful. And so I want to know how you feel.
As America's, I have not spent any time with Chris. He came to that conclusion independently.
As America's foremost Frame owner, which is a thing you just have to wear it.
I do own one. How many people here have a Frame TV? All right. Bowlers?
Nilay owes all of you money.
Yeah. That was just a fist in the air. You're just like, yeah, Frame TV. Lots of Frame TVs. I have a Frame TV. Everybody knows a Frame TV. The Frame TV represents the death of Hollywood. I want you to, every time you turn on this TV, I want you to be like, what I'm doing is killing Hollywood. And I mean that. I mean that in a very real sense. It is also Samsung's biggest success. It is a cultural product, not a tech product. You buy this thing because it looks good when it's off. You buy this thing because it has an art store. How many people are paying the $50 a month for the art store? How many people are, that one person will admit it. How many of you are paying for it and you just don't want to admit it in this room with me right now? I pay the money too, all right? It is a cultural product. It is not a technology product. And that is the thing everybody wants. The iPhone is a cultural product. It's not a technology product. It's a very high-end technology product, but inherently it's a cultural product. So Samsung can have influencers and HGTV and interior designers sell the Frame TV as like a statement piece that you put in your living room. I have a Frame TV. I have a new neighbor. They redid their living room and they were like, we bought the Frame TV. And they're like, it's not a real Frame TV. And I was like, why are you admitting this to me? No one like shows me any other product and is like, it's not the real one. That doesn't happen. But the Frame TV has achieved this status. And the fact that it is a bad TV is like totally secondary to its status. It is a shit TV. I'm sorry. You can just, it's fine that I know it and you know it. You don't have to tell anyone else. But it is a 7-year-old edge-lit panel that Samsung has long since made its margin on. And now they're selling them for like $3. Like, a lot of you paid thousands of dollars for your Frame TV when the core component of it is like a $200 Samsung panel from 7 years ago. But it's all the stuff they've layered onto it, right? The matte display, they break out the box, they can make it flat. You can buy the frames. I have a lot to say about the frames in the art store. So they're making all of this margin based on the lifestyle value of the product, not the product itself. And so the Frame Pro,
This is such a long way of explaining why you bought a terrible television that has not yet answered my question. So Samsung's whole thing this time was they were like, what if we made it a good TV? And it sounds like they didn't do that.
they didn't do that. So they got to use some words. An edge-lit TV has the lights around the edge of the screen that light up the LCD panel. The new hot tech is mini LED backlights that have lots and lots of small backlights. So you can turn on off the zones. You get true blacks, and then I have OLEDs, which are that's what I have. That's actually what I have. Our Frame TV is in our bedroom, and my daughter watches Moana on it when she's sick. That's why we own that TV. So Samsung is saying we've made it mini LED, which you're supposed to think they're on the cutting edge of the technology, because they can't use OLED, because if you put art on an OLED picture for days at a time, you'll burn out the OLED. So they can't use the best technology. So they say they're using this up and coming disruptive technology called mini LED, where every other mini LED TV has thousands, if not tens of thousands of dimming zones to let them simulate an OLED black level. But Samsung isn't doing that. They just put them around the fucking edge of the TV so they can crank them really bright so the TV can get brighter. So they still have an edge lit panel. Like, they haven't done anything.
Well, they did something.
What did they do?
But they didn't do the thing that they should have done, which is make it a better television.
I don't think it matters. When I say it's the death of Hollywood, what I mean is you all bought this TV. I keep pointing at all of you. This like, j'accuse.
How dare you?
All of
These monsters bought this television.
Yeah, every Hollywood celebrity you know is mad at you. Tom Cruise is going to come in here and turn off motion smoothing one by one. But you bought a TV that is better when it's off. Like, substantially better in its off state than its on state. Like, the picture quality when the Frame TV is off is better than when it's on. And that's cool. Like, that's why we have one in our bedroom, because it's mostly off. It's such a small step from there to just hanging a real picture on your wall. It's such a small step from there to there's an e-ink, like color e-ink frame that they're selling here.
It's a poster. You have to charge it once a year.
That has an art store. It's such a small step to that. It's such a small step to not having a TV. Because your TV is off, showing you $50 a year content from the MoMA while you're on TikTok.
Can I offer you a different idea, which is the new LG Stand By Me 2, which is just a thing you carry with a strap? Why have a television when you can have a television with you all the time?
Have you guys seen the Stand By Me 2? It has a strap, and then it also has so it's just a TV with a battery in it. The battery lasts for like 4 hours. It's very funny. The first one was a suitcase. It came in like a James Bond style suitcase. But then you would play solitaire on it. So you'd be like, I'm James Bond. And they'd be like, we're playing solitaire. But now it has a strap. It has a giant Surface style kickstand attachment. So you can just make it a giant tablet computer, which is very cool. Everyone I saw encounter this thing in the LG booth was captivated by it.
It's literally just a huge iPad without a touchscreen, which is both ridiculous and kind of great.
Yeah,
and they're showing it. There's like the big idea is like you'll hang it up at your coffee shop to show the menu or whatever, and that's all fine and good. But I want this thing to just like wander around my house with me, and I just sit it next to me as I watch shows. Like, that's what I do with my phone all the time now. I'm like,
telling you,
to do dishes,
it's a hop to not having a TV. What you are describing is a person without a television. And every now and again, you're going to bring out your little shoulder strap TV, and you're going to like watch a show, and you're going to put it away. Mm-hmm. And once that happens, like, the culture of the world changes once the default is we don't have TVs. And I promise you the Samsung Frame TV is the leading indicator of eventually not having TVs. I mean, and the Frame Pro is a con, and I just want to be very careful about this. Like, what professional needs this television? Like, what are we doing? But we're fully in the lightning round, by the way. I just want to be clear.
Yeah. So can I just burn you through some more news before we bring out our friends to talk about more interesting stuff than your weird ideas about televisions? Can we talk about Dell just for like a minute? I just need to be very mad at Dell out loud on this podcast.
Yeah.
So Dell,
that's a CES tradition.
Dell, which had 1 million names of products for its laptops that no one could ever make sense of, now has fewer names for its products that make somehow even less sense. So Dell has completely renamed its whole.
They got rid of XPS,
right? Which was
a good brand.
It was like the best Windows computer, and they're like, never mind. So now there is the Dell,
just Dell.
So you just like, I'll have a Dell, please. It's like a thing you can do now. There's also the Dell Pro, and there's the Dell Max. And if you're like, David, that doesn't make sense, I have more for you. Within each of those tiers, there is a premium, a plus, and a base tier. So there is now a Dell base. I'd like a Dell base, please. That's sure.
That's like a rental car.
All the way up to a Dell Max Premium, which
Dell
is just
Max
spectacular.
Premium.
I assume it costs $16 million.
Are they different products?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't think Dell knows. I really don't. I think they just like had a bunch of laptops and they were like, we don't know what any of these are anymore because we just have infinite SKUs of things and just put a bunch of them in buckets. And we're like,
Here you
ship
go.
these to Best Buy.
And the middle one is Plus.
The middle one is Plus.
So you can get a Dell Max Plus.
You can't. That's correct. Or a Dell Pro Plus. I hate this so much.
You're so mad.
I have always said that my future is to just start a consultancy where I will walk into your boardroom, say that name is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, leave, and you owe me $50,000. Like I'll be the one to say to your CEO, that's the stupidest idea you've ever had.
That's why people hire consultants.
This is what I'm saying. I will do that for so cheap if
Right.
it saves us from stupid names like this. But anyway, so that sucks. The computers, I'm sure, will be fine. Dell has made fine computers for a very long time. Can we talk about the Sony Afeela car for just a hot second? Do we think this exists now? We have a price. This thing has been at CES in various forms of prototype for 3 years now.
Yeah,
4 years?
they over. Have you guys seen the Afeela? It's just a sedan. Like I don't know. It looks like a Lucid Air, but Sony did it. You know, it's $89,000. I was with some people today, like walking around the show floor, and I was like, "This is Sony's car. It's a sedan that costs $89,000," and they like just a group of people guffawed. Like I feel very bad for Sony and Honda. They announced this thing 5 years ago at the height of infinite demand for Tesla. Like where Tesla was like, we can't make Model Ys fast enough. And every car company was like, well, what if we announce a car that we're going to ship 5 years from now to fill some of that Model Y demand?
And our only idea about it is that it has PlayStation in it somehow.
Yeah. So, I mean, so Sony's giant worry is that the cars will drive themselves and then you'll have more free time because you're in your like living room on wheels going to wherever you're going in your autonomous car. And Sony should program the content and advertising that you consume during that time. And I've heard this idea from multiple entertainment companies, multiple car companies, that once we have autonomous cars, you drive around living room on wheels, whoever wins that fight to program that screen is the next winner. And I'm just like, the people still have phones. You have to beat my iPhone still. Like I get in an Uber all the time. The Uber drives around just fine. I'm not like, I hope somebody like I turn off the screen in the back of the taxi. I want to look at my
I do
phone.
play the trivia games back there every once in a while.
Oh no.
They're so fun.
You're being so ruthlessly tracked.
Oh, yeah, it's fine. They know how good I am at trivia. Like it's not a problem.
But so they have announced a price. And then I think the really funny thing is, the Afeela is the Sony Honda mobility joint venture where Honda's doing the car and then Sony's programming the experiences on the car. And you can in fact play PlayStation in the back of the Afeela. Great. But at the same time, at this very show, Honda is showing off its own cooler cars. And you're just like, hey, it's an $89,000 sedan that you don't like. Like this thing is doomed. I hope none of you have pre-ordered an Afeela. If you have fun, life is a series of experiences that you're allowed to have. But the actual Honda cars look way cooler, like much more futuristic. They keep calling it a saloon, which is just what British people say instead of station wagon. And it's like just a long.
I just learned that this week, by the way. It's awesome. That's such a better name than station wagon.
Yeah.
Like a saloon car is cool.
But it does imply that there will be like swinging doors. And the British have once again lied to us. But it's like just such a cool looking car. It makes a lot of sense. Like you can see Honda's really thought about repackaging a car around a battery instead of what most car makers are doing, which is like putting a battery in an existing design and playing it safe. But no price, no ship date. We're like ages away. We're still in the vaporware car land. And then the other thing that's really interesting is none of the other car makers are here. And so for years, Mercedes would be here and be like, this car has OLEDs on the outside. And then BMW, like, our car has e-ink on the outside. And you'd be like, what about the inside of the car? And then they would show you crazy ideas for, interactive cockpits. And they would talk about EVs endlessly and autonomy endlessly. And none of them are here this year.
We've seen such a trend like in the last 12 months of all of these companies walking back from these wild ideas. Because there was a minute where it was like, this is the future and it is coming right now. And now everybody's like, this is potentially the future and it's coming in a very long time because we can't figure out how to charge these things.
Right. They were counting on two paradigm
were the
shifts. They're
answer.
counting on widespread electrification, which they have largely achieved in China, but they can't talk about that here. And they are counting on autonomy. And those things are just not happening at the rate that anyone wants them to.
Yeah.
Waymo is here, and they're showing the Hyundai Waymo car that they're going to be doing next year, which is an Ioniq 5. And so to go from a Jaguar to an Ioniq 5, It's like a hard thing to be excited about, but they're trying really hard.
Listen, everybody's just out here doing their best. All right, we are already threatening to go way over. So let's get to some of our friends who have been doing much better reporting than we have.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Support for the show comes from Delta Airlines. In 2025, Delta Airlines turns 100 years old. That's a century of changing the way we fly, a century of making the world more accessible by transforming global travel. Delta has led the way in shaping solutions that improve the lives of their customers. Looking to the next 100 years, they're thinking boldly and moving quickly to implement impactful innovations that make every journey as unique as you are. Delta is evolving the in-flight entertainment experience with new partnerships and features unlocked with your SkyMiles membership. Delta Sync Seatback gives you in-flight access to curated entertainment, exclusive offers, and more from brands you love. And coming soon, you'll be able to access even more tools to help you customize your onboard experience and get ready to arrive at your destination. And coming soon, your Fly Delta app will give you access to Delta Concierge, a series of AI capabilities built into the app to give you more control and confidence navigating your travel experience. Whether you're a frequent flyer or an occasional jet setter, Delta Concierge will make you feel like a travel pro. Go to deltaunlocks.com to learn more about the future of travel with Delta.
Allison Johnson's over here. Allison, come hang out with us. Let's talk about CES.
Yeah.
Welcome, Allison,
Woo!
everybody. Allison has been talking about a phone toaster nonstop for several days, which I feel like you bring your mic over.
Okay.
There's a bunch of stuff we should talk about, but can we just talk about the phone toaster?
We're gonna
I feel like
start.
you've like really oversold
We're going to get right
the phone
into
toaster.
it. Okay. Phone toaster. So the story is I got the press release in my inbox and I was so annoyed immediately with phone toaster. I was like, I don't want to hear about this. And then we got here and I was like, well, I should go see the phone toaster.
Is it actually called the phone toaster?
No, that's I called it that once in my head and then it was just phone
all
toaster
over?
after that. It's what it is the whole thing is called Swipit. It's a
It's called Swipit?
Swipit, like Swipit.
They had phone toaster in their back pocket and they went with Swipit?
I know.
All right.
They went with Swipit. It's like a charging system for your phone, where you have the phone case. There's a battery packed in it, and you use it like you would a phone with a case and a battery. And when it's time to charge, you stick it in the phone toaster, and it goes brrr, and it swaps out the battery, and you take it out. You're good to go. 2 seconds, and I was like, I'm still kind of like not understanding this. And they're like, well, you never charge your phone again. You just swip it.
The truth is you perfectly understand it.
Yeah. Don't you need, how much does it cost?
Okay. So that's the thing.
That's not a good okay.
The phone toaster itself, the hub, is
hub?
It's the hub.
Okay.
The phone
The
cases
Swipit
are the
hub.
link. Yeah. Phone toaster is $450.
Sure, yeah.
And the phone case is $120.
It doesn't come with a case?
You have to buy, because you have to buy the one for
Can you
your
get the
phone.
case without getting the toaster?
You could.
But why would you?
Why would you?
Okay, that's fair.
You need the toaster.
And you need multiple. How many batteries are in each toaster?
There's 5 batteries in the toaster.
Do you ever say sentences and be like, how did we get here?
I'm like, this is what I'm paid to do.
And just correct me, so you would need like 2. You need like one at home and one in your office or something.
That's
so you're like
right.
$1,000 deep into phone toaster.
Yeah. You got to invest $1,000 in your toasters, and then you never have to charge your phone again.
I feel like I can never charge my phone again for $1,000 in a variety of different ways.
I know you could have chargers like in every corner of your house. I just think like there's something I appreciate
I
it
feel like I
where
could have 2 phones.
you could have a lot of phones.
I'm sorry. Are you telling me you don't find the idea of being able to just like walk into your like living room when you get home and just go like thunk, and if your phone is magically charged again?
Yeah.
That kicks ass.
That's
You know
it.
what? It makes me think of like in action movies when the guy can do like a really cool like hot swap of magazines of ammo, and it's like they like flip their guns around. That's us. That's what we get now with the phone toaster.
for $450.
This is all I've ever wanted.
Homie, it's called the Swipit.
We don't have to talk about that. Again,
don't
KMI
focus on
consultancy.
that.
I will tell you, it should have been the phone toaster.
It's a phone toaster. Yeah.
I'm saying. This does remind me that when I got my first Sony Clie, it had the little flip down microphone. I did practice trying to make that a cool move. Was not successful and remained single throughout high school. Carry on.
What else have you seen that's cool? You've been running around seeing all kinds of stuff. I feel like you've had less of a like focused goal at CES, and you're more just like, what weird things can I encounter?
Yeah,
which is the correct way to do CES.
I have the best job, and I've never had this job at CES before. This is my 6th CES. Yeah.
Because you spend a lot of your time not at CES with phones, and there are just no phones here.
Yeah, no
just
phones.
Not a phone show.
I reviewed the OnePlus 13. It's awesome. And then I just left it in my hotel room and I went into the show floor. No, it rules because like I've had the CES experience where you run from meeting to meeting and you're like sweating and you're talking to people and you don't get to see anything. So this year I got to see things and I wandered through the West Hall. I was like, I'm just gonna like see what's here and get out real quick. Like an hour and a half later, I was like taking pictures of myself with every like massive tractor I could find. I was like, this is the coolest thing. There's like massive, electric vehicles. And I was like, oh, I gotta move on. Like I can't spend.
Did you
my
do the
day.
demo? I think it's Caterpillar has a great demo where you can sit in a cockpit and remote operate a digger that's like hundreds of miles away.
No, what?
And there's just a line I got. And it's like they have a drone
Is it over 5G?
looking at the digger.
Can you
And then
do
the digger
surgery?
has
Oh,
like,
yes,
a
they're
great-
5G.
yeah, it's all 5G. Finally, the promise of 5G has been realized. And it's 3 guys standing in line to operate a digger 500 miles away.
I knew it.
It all happened. We've run the race.
We did it.
F you, China. Remote control digger. There's a long line of people who just like sat in this thing and they like scooped up some dirt and they put the dirt away. And it's like they're watching it on a TV. And it's like,
man.
this isn't actually cool.
That's what I'm going to do tomorrow.
You should go back tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it was very fun. One guy ran into like, he couldn't do it. And the guy's like, let me find you some looser soil. And I was like, that is the harshest burn I've ever heard.
All right. Well, now I'm nervous.
Wow. Let me find you some looser soil as like a motivational poster that I would like to exist.
Oh, no.
It was rough.
When life gets hard, find looser soil. It's
Find
like that
some
means
looser
something to me. That's powerful.
Have you seen in Central Hall, next to the Samsung booth, there's a little booth for just an LED manufacturer. Like they don't make the displays really, they make the LED componentry. And they're very proud of, apparently they've invented a million things first. Like the first wire-free LED circuitry that can do a thing, like all this stuff. The first heat-resistant, whatever. But their tagline, I swear to you, this is the tagline of this company. Birth is not fair, but opportunity must be fair. And it's like in huge letters. And then right below it, it's like the future of OLED signage. And I'm like,
Wow.
like stick to your guns. Like I go for it. Like shout it from the rooftops. Opportunity must be fair. It's like right next to the Samsung booth. So all these people are walking by and like taking selfies with it because it's so weird. And I think it's working. Like I think a lot of people are being radicalized into like an inherently progressive agenda by this OLED manufacturer.
They wanted
like-
to see the Frame Pro. Instead, that's what they.
Yeah, I feel like that's where your opportunity is to go over and be like, actually, OLED isn't really massively available yet. It's still too expensive. If we could just work on OLED becoming
Birth
more
is not fair,
commercially-
David. Find looser soil. What else have you seen that's great?
So I got to wander around the Central Hall. I used to cover cameras full time. I stopped by Nikon, and you might be bummed to hear that there are like 0 cameras at
man.
the Nikon booth. I was scandalized. There's like airplanes, and then someone like doing a fake weather forecast for some reason. But I found
Nikon.
yeah. I was like, sure. But there's a camera they're going to take to the moon and it has a little jacket on. I thought that was so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got really excited about the jacket.
I did.
Yeah.
I came back like 3 times and I was like, I want to make sure I get all the facts right about the moon camera. No, I got to just like see the show from the perspective of someone who just like wants to go see cool shit. The LG booth is awesome. There's a whole thing with the translucent TV panels where like you stand around, you watch it, and it's like jellyfish, and then it morphs into other stuff, and then all the panels kind of come out, and it's stained glass, and it looks like Jesus is about to like emerge from the TVs.
Right.
I was like, this is a spiritual experience right here for some people. But yeah, like I got to check out Eureka Park. I went to the Sphere.
Oh, for the Delta
yeah,
keynote.
yeah, I went for that. I was never been there before. I wasn't prepared for the smell-o-vision like portion of it. They did a thing with Uber Eats where it was like a bit. There was a guy on like a moped like delivering Uber Eats, and then they like pump in this smell of like hazelnut, and everybody's kind of like, do you smell that? It's kind of sweet. And then they were like, oh, a hazelnut coffee, just how I like. I was like,
That's a lot.
It was a lot.
The one thing that I've been dying to ask you about is the TCL Next Paper phone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it. As you know, David is the #1 retail agent for the Boox Palma here in America, which, by the way, it currently is in some sort of weird Chinese AI data privacy scandal. So well done, David.
Thank you.
Way
So I'm here for it.
to do an op on the people of America with your weird e-paper phone.
I believe I advocated for mostly using that thing in airplane mode, so I'm good. I feel fine about it.
So we've just seen a lot of interest in these like minimal phones, and it's a secondary device, right? Like it doesn't make any sense to me to have a e-ink phone as your primary device. And so TCL, this is like their second or third Next Paper phone, and they have matte displays, and then you can switch them to black and white mode. But this year they look almost like e-ink.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been doing this Next Paper thing, and it like was in the tablets first, and then they brought it to the phones. And the thing that I'm most excited about, and I think you are too, is the Next Paper key, which is just a little slider button on the side of the phone that puts it into max ink mode. And that's
where it looks the most
Max
like e-ink.
ink mode?
Yeah, that's the like e-ink mode. And it's like monochrome.
David's consultancy approves of that.
Yeah.
I'm in on Max
You
ink
just
mode.
like pretend your phone is an e-ink phone for a minute, and it's like,
Does it work? Like I feel like we've seen a lot of companies do this thing where they're like, it's an LCD, but it's a better one to look
What was
at. and it
the
never
little startup
is.
just now?
The Daylight.
The Daylight. And they were all in. They were like, this will save
Yeah,
you.
and it was one of those, like, it had some interesting ideas, but it is a little bit like a sort of jack of all trades and master of none thing, where it's like it almost accomplishes all of its goals, but it actually accomplishes none of them. And I feel like this has been true with a lot of these things, which is why I end up going back to e-ink, because it's like, sure, it's slow refresh rate and it doesn't work super well in certain conditions, but like it does the thing it's supposed to do, which is not blare light in your eyes all the time. Does Next Paper, like, can it do the middle thing?
kind of. I mean, there's like, they have a matte kind of finish on the screen, and they say all this stuff about it's like, rated to be really easy on your eyes and the blue light and all that. But like, really, it's just.
But really, the
about,
thing
like,
that happens is you flip the switch on the side of the screen, and like smoke comes out from the middle of the screen. Like there's an animation that's like e-ink is eating your display from the inside out. It's very sci-fi. And then it like takes over, it shuts down the screen and comes back as an e-ink screen. Also, for some extremely convoluted reason, it quits all of their apps.
yeah.
So it's not great in
I
that
was gonna
sense.
say, I literally believed you when you said smoke comes out. Like I was honestly like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
TCL made a
the phone
that you hit a button
explodes and you're left with a Kindle.
Yeah.
And then
prestige.
when you flip it back, like a purpley smoke emerges from the middle of the screen.
Yeah. It's like a ripple.
It's fabulous.
And there's a middle one, which is like a desaturated color e-ink. And it's just like the thing, like I watched people cruise by all kinds of dumb AI ideas all day today, and everyone stopped at the Next Paper booth. Because the idea that you have a phone where you're reading it looks more like paper is inherently very compelling. And to me, it's like, oh, maybe that's like the most interesting phone we're going to see for a while. Because it's not like AI is going to do anything.
I know.
Yeah. All right, Allison, before we ruthlessly kick you off the stage,
Okay.
we have to talk about the thing that you and I both got, I would
Yeah.
say, unnecessarily excited about at CES Unveiled.
Yeah. I scooped you.
You did. It was honestly, we had a Slack room where we were talking about the stuff we were going to write about. And I was like, I'm doing this. And Allison was like, I did it already. It was the meanest thing that's ever happened to me. It's a top for your water bottle. What's the whole thing? Explain this to the people who
It
should all buy
is
this thing immediately.
Soda Stream, but for a hydro flask. Like, that's it. It's a little top you screw onto the top of your water bottle. You put the CO2 canister in, and there's like a little plastic lid you put on top, and it does the carbonation thing. And then you have sparkling water, and you can be free and walk with it.
It's all I've ever wanted. I don't know why I got so excited about this,
No.
but the idea of like, and they make a like specific water bottle, and
Yeah.
they're like, you can have your still water bottle and your sparkling water
Yeah,
bottle. And
which
you like
is
drop the little capsule in, and
all I
it's a
want.
dream.
How many uses do you get out of each capsule?
This is, who cares?
It's
Don't
not
ask
important.
questions.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
You can
It's
feel.
fine.
It's good.
$5,000.
$50 water bottle.
You never
It's fine.
charge
It
your
has a
phone.
subscription. It's tracking you.
Yes, and you have sparkling water
Mhm.
for the rest of
Hey,
your life.
It's important. Sparkling water is freely available. Just
Okay.
pointing that out.
Listen, we don't all have that LaCroix money, Nilay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Allison. Thank you. You're gonna come back when we do some Q&A stuff, but for now, go away.
Okay.
We have to.
Thank
We
you.
have to move on. Thank you,
Yeah.
Allison. Jen Tuohy, come hang out with us. Let's talk smart home things. Jen Tuohy, everybody should know this. All of our team is wonderful, but no one at CES is a celebrity quite like Jen Tuohy is a celebrity.
Yeah.
Anyone who makes a smart home anything, which is everyone at CES, is like largely obsessed with Jen Tuohy.
Yeah. Welcome.
We're very excited you're here.
I was with Owen, our videographer, today, and I had quite a few people. In fact, I see some in the audience who, come up to me and was like, said how wonderful they love The Verge, but that I'm their favorite.
Mhm.
So, yeah. A few also said they were going to subscribe.
Hey, there you go. That's what we have a subscription fee, but you get sparkling water.
Can we talk about robot vacuums? All I want to talk about in the whole world is robot vacuums. I have become completely sold on all weird robot vacuums ideas this week.
That's good because there are a lot of them.
There's so many of them. I want you to explain the ones that you've seen and liked the best, but the one that I got to see that is my favorite was there's a Roborock one that is just it's just a Roomba looking thing, but it has a robotic arm that comes out. I mean, so slowly. It slowly comes out, and it kind of goes like this. And then if it like sees a sock next to it, it just sort of gently reaches over and picks up the sock, and then just moves with it somewhere, and then just puts the sock down in a different place.
Correct.
And there was a person at the Roborock's booth whose job was to reach over and put the sock back in the vacuum's way. And it was the best. I stood there for like much too long watching this person just slowly fight with the vacuum about where the sock should go. And I
Did
enjoyed
you
it
see
very
them
much.
doing their dance?
No. There's a dance?
They had a whole row of them stacked right at the front of the booth, and they had them dancing in sync, the arms.
Incredible.
I know. It was pretty
Can
incredible.
I just say and everyone wants to talk about humanoid robots. I'm afraid of the vacuums that have limbs.
They're
Like, before we got on stage, Jen was like, one of them has legs. That's just a thing she casually said. And I was like, I'm going to find out more soon.
legs and arm. That was the, they elevated throughout the week. So it started, and we actually got to see the Roborock a sneak peek last month. So we were all prepped for the arms. And in fact, when we were all prepped for the arm, the robot uprising is coming. And then the other, so there are lots of competitors in the Robovac space. And Roborock came out with the arm, and then Dreamy came out with the legs. And then that was their debut. And these are robots that are coming, you're going to be able to buy in the next couple of months. These aren't concept vacuums. And then I went to the Dreamy booth, and they're like, oh, but now we have one that has legs and an arm. So this is, and that they said actually that'll be out by the end of the year.
How fast can it run?
So this is, the legs are a little, they just basically raise the robot up far enough so that it can kind of get over a transition. Like if you've ever had a robot vacuum that can't get into your bathroom because you've got like a high ledge, and then the legs kind of collapse from under it and it goes forward. So it's not like it's going to climb up your staircase to the second floor.
You can almost like hear it go
Yeah.
every time. It's just sort of like lunging over. Yeah.
Well, and when I was watching the one with the legs and the arm, he said, well, we kind of modeled it after a horse. And you can see the legs go up and then the arm goes up, and it's like.
And this is, I want to be clear, this is a vacuum cleaner.
So the idea is, if anyone's ever used a robot vacuum, they often get stuck. Or if you've left your socks out, they'll suck up your socks. And then there's AI-powered obstacle avoidance, which is supposed to help them get around the sock. But then they haven't cleaned the floor where the sock was. So this idea is it's going to pick up your sock. You can tell it where to put it. And so it'll go put it in a basket, or the dreamy one can pick up shoes. So it can go put the
It's
shoes.
strong enough to pick up a shoe.
500
we're done
grams.
for. It's over now.
It can hop like a horse and pick up shoes.
Yeah.
I don't like this.
And this one actually, the new dreamy one can use tools. So
Yeah, I actually don't like that. I changed my mind. I'm out.
They've all seen the movies, right?
But the ultimate idea is they'll clean everywhere, because right now they are kind of spotty.
Yeah.
But it has this little arm kind of goes into a toolbox and takes a tool out. But yes, right now it's a soft brush, but when it's like a little chainsaw.
This is a full like BattleBots situation you're describing.
Well, I kept saying, can we? You're across the way from each other. Can we just get the two robots together and go for it? But no, they weren't having any of it.
Like, is there a list of acceptable tools?
It's just little brushes. It's
So
like
mostly brushes.
brushes.
Because like you give this robot a hammer, like all kinds of weird shit. Just checking. All right.
But they're everywhere. Robots with arms, legs, all sorts of things.
It does seem like, in terms of just like household robots, it's the vacuums that people are like, these are the ones people actually buy. And then
Yes.
everything else is kind of, and so there's just a tremendous amount of weird vacuum ideas.
It's where the innovation is, definitely, in the
Yeah.
robot space. Because, and I've talked about this before, the whole kind of dream is the Rosie the robot, the humanoid. But that's, if and when that ever comes, is going to be, no one's going to be able to afford it. And it's going to be kind of scary. So for me, the idea of like modular, single purpose robots, or robots that can do one or two tasks rather than like a big, powerful humanoid robot roaming around your house, makes a lot more sense. And in fact, SwitchBot, who's kind of known for quite innovative, slightly janky products, came out with a modular robot platform. So it has a little robot with something that's called a fusion platform that goes on top, and then you can put different accessories, and it will drive around your house and like bring you things. You can put a fan on it, so you can have it like come and keep you cool, purify the air. So this is like, it's,
Wait, you forgot the one where it'll do a telepresence robot. It's just a big
yes.
ass selfie stick that you can
Big
just stick your
selfie
phone
stick.
on, and then it'll just wander around your house.
yes, that
Sold.
one. That
We're
one.
all the way back to an iPad on a
That's
Segway
what it is.
Yeah, but now
yes.
it also cleans your floors.
At the
like
same
10 years
time.
ago, I walked around CES and people were like, the future of work is an iPad on a Segway. we have a great video from ages
Yeah,
ago. James
Yeah.
Vincent just came to our office from his home in London as an iPod on a stick, or an iPad on a stick. And his conclusion was like, no one respects me. Because he's like, it's hard. All right, I'm saying good luck to everyone.
I know.
I do like the idea of them though. Like the idea that you have this little tiny thing that does a thing, it cleans your floors, but it also increasingly like understands and has mapped your house, knows how to move around. The idea that there's more stuff
Can
you
use
do with
tools
that-
and throw shoes.
Yeah, that I'm less excited about. You can open a box and use tools could go sideways. But air purifiers and selfie sticks, I'm into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This works.
It's gonna roll up and like a puff of smoke is gonna come out and you're gonna fall to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wake up without a kidney. What is going on? Use tools.
Yeah.
Think about it. I'm just saying.
I'm fine with this. It doesn't look like a person, so it's less creepy.
Well, actually, the SwitchBot they are working on an arm for the SwitchBot and
right,
a little
we just-
face.
All right. Speaking of horrors, let's talk about Matter. There's a lot of Matter stuff here.
Mhm.
There is an entire door lock camera biometric handle.
It's the year of the door lock. I called it.
Yeah. The product you listed here is most likely to buy is the new Schlage lock that has ultra wideband.
Yes.
And I believe I was reading Jen's write-up, and it's like it calculates your velocity as you approach the door, which is just not a thing that you think a door lock needs to do.
Well, so the idea is, I actually got a demo of it this evening. They're not showing it on the show floor. That was all they released, but they did give me a little sneak peek just before I came here. And the idea of the velocity is so UWB is like what's in use in cars now for automatic unlocking. So it's precise positioning, so it knows how you're approaching. So this way, if you're walking sideways across your front lawn, your door's not going to unlock, right? It knows that your trajectory towards the lock. So as you're walking towards the lock, if you're running, it will unlock faster. Like say you want to get in your house quick.
Does it like whip open the door if you really want to surprise somebody?
It's like the vacuum is coming. Unlock the door.
But I think the UWB technology is really what's going to push smart locks into the mainstream because to date, access control has been kind of fiddly. The fingerprint is my favorite option, but for a lot of people, it's not a great option. Fingerprints can be, don't always get recognized. It's fiddly to set up. And then the keypad, obviously, that's almost takes as long time as getting your key out if you're putting a. And then they've had this idea of automatic unlocking for a while, but it's never been very good because it uses Wi-Fi and geofencing and a few different radios. So like there's so many failure points. Whereas this is just point to point, radio to radio. As you approach, the door will unlock and it unlocks before you get there. So you're not standing there like a lemon for like 30 seconds waiting for your door to unlock, which has happened to me regularly.
Quick question. How do lemons stand?
It's an English term. Back me up,
In their
Brits.
saloons.
I'm super fascinated with this because there's also there's standards on top of standards, right?
Yes. So this is a Lero.
It's called a Lero.
So a Lero is coming this year.
The classic smart home story.
Yes. And it's been known, so a Lero's like Matter. Lero is like an industry collaboration between Apple, Google, Samsung, and then all the lock makers. And it's an access control standard to basically make it so that any smartphone can unlock any door lock, obviously authorized, not just. So rather than having to have a specific platform to use your smart lock or a specific smartphone, any UWB device or NFC, so it's bringing Apple HomeKey, the idea of HomeKey to all phones. So right now, if you've ever used Apple HomeKey, it's very convenient. You tap your watch to your lock, tap your phone to your lock, unlocks it. But you can't use that if you have an Android phone. But now that's with a Lero, we're going to get NFC unlocking for all phones and UWB unlocking for all compatible phones. You have to have UWB and NFC in your phone. But that's been coming for a while. There's a lot of phones and watches that now have that. So it's going to take a while. The Lero standard is going to be announced, like what it is, the spec this year. But I think the lock manufacturers are already starting to make the locks to work with it. And Apple announced at WWDC last year, that they are supporting the UWB hands-free unlocking. So there's a lot of momentum there. And it's a really seamless experience compared to most of the other ways that you use smart locks. So I think we're going to see a real uptick in. Do you have a smart lock?
Yeah, I've got the Encode Plus, which
Okay.
is HomeKey.
Yeah.
And then I have the cheap Aquera one, which is also HomeKey. And that one, you get what you pay for. It's just like sort of straightforwardly, you get what you pay for. But it's great because we just tap the phone on the door and it unlocks. And the problem is sometimes I have an Android phone and then I can't do that. And it seems like all this is just one turn too late. I know you're calling it the year of the smart lock, but there's a rumor that Apple will make a lock this year, which is very funny. Of all the
With
products,
the video
Apple should
built
make.
in. And that's the other thing we saw, video doorbells built into smart locks everywhere and palm unlocking. I'm not so sure about the palm unlocking.
You just wave your palm at it?
Yeah, I did it a few times. I think not Philips Hue.
What does it like your palm?
They say it's a lot more secure than a fingerprint. Apparently your palm has more things going on.
I don't know. What we're beating is like a key and a lock. I think a fingerprint's probably fine. We're still moving in the right direction.
But then it's the hands-free element. You just know.
This is not hands-free.
But
this
it is
is
because you're not
still
actually
hands.
touching.
That's just not touching.
This
But
is
you're not
like the
touching.
most hands. Actually.
There's no
waving
physical
your
contact.
hand, very much hand. Yeah,
I'd say it's in between.
sure.
This is why I want it to just whip open the door when I walk up.
See that it doesn't do yet.
Can you set the velocity? Can you be like, this is how fast I can run?
So that's what I hadn't. Schlage was the first company I'd heard talk about velocity. But I think that's neat because if you are in a hurry, rather than you suddenly have to stop.
Yeah.
It can anticipate. It's reacting to you, and that's really where the smart home's going. I think is it anticipates your needs rather than you needing to tell it what you want to do or program it or put buttons in. Push buttons, put your fingerprint, and your home is starting to react to you, and that's kind of where we're moving, I think.
So what's really interesting is, Apple. This is kind of the second time they've pulled this move, right? They did HomeKit and then they gave a lot of HomeKit away to become Matter. Then they did Home Keys, and they gave a lot of Home Key away to be Aliro, and we'll see if that comes to anything, right? But like you can see, like they're moving more things into the industry ecosystem because they just need the ecosystem to exist.
Right.
And very, very few companies want to make stuff for just one platform, especially at the scale most of these companies operate at. But then the rumors are like Apple will just make a lock with a Face ID built into it, and that makes no sense to me. And then the rumor is this year Apple will do like a smart home iPad situation.
That we'll get.
But then I'm just like looking at the other news here, which is Aquera has announced like a wall mountable smart home controller.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, they're just going to kill this ecosystem of products they need to make this work that they keep giving the standards away to. They're just going to eat them. So like the Aquera thing is wild. So has anybody ever, Paul is here. I know he has. The CEO of Home Assistant is here. I know this person has done it. But has anybody ever been like, I'm going to put an iPad on my wall to control my smart home stuff? It's this. Yes, it's our audience. I know. More of you than subscribe to the art store on the Frame TV is that's what I want to say. And it's like hard. It's just like a fundamentally complicated idea because you got to get power to the iPad. You got to keep the iPad in kiosk mode, or you got to run an Android tablet. You end up with a bunch of weird Matter. Can you tell how much therapy I do with Jen on like a day-to-day basis about smart home stuff? And so Aquera has these new ones. I think you've actually seen them where they just replace your light switches in the way that has anybody ever seen the new like aftermarket screens you can put in cars where you just like take out the old radio and they're just like, fuck it, tablet. It just like covers up all the vents. And now it's like, what if we do that in your house? It's like, we're going to take out your light switches and we're just going to mount a 7-inch display where your light switch was. And guess where the power comes from? The power to your light switch. And then this will be the panel.
Yeah.
And this feels like the new thing to me.
Yeah, this is smart home control interfaces, which is something I go on about a lot on the site. It's like, because voice and phone control are just not compatible in a household where there's more than one person. Like you need ways to control your smart home. And Brilliant was the first sort of company in this space that did replacing the light switch with a touchscreen panel. But what's happened now is that with Matter, you're not locking yourself into an ecosystem. The problem had been, even though Brilliant tried with integrations, is that there just weren't enough things. If you're going to wire something to your house, it needs to control everything. And Aquera, right now, it is not quite there, but with Matter, they're saying they're going to be able to, you basically eventually be able to control any Matter-compatible device straight from the touchscreen. It's wired to lights, so you're solving the problem of your lights. You can, dim, change colors, set scenes, using the touch panel for the light that it's wired to, and then any other lights in your home or maybe your door lock. It's also a video intercom. So if you have a video doorbell, it'll pull up when someone rings. You can talk to them. It has a little microphone. It's big and chunky, though, and then there's a spousal approval factor when it comes to light switches. So my actual favorite one of the Aquera, they showed off 3 touchscreen panels, and one has a little dial. It has a tiny little screen in it that you can swipe the screen to choose what you want to select. So say I want to turn on the living room lights or dim them. And then it has this lovely tactile dial that you can just turn. And that's,
you know what else is like cool and tactile is light switches. They're like,
No, but
they
this
feel
looks
so
like a
good.
thermostat.
Spousal approval through the roof on light
smart home
switches.
Philistine.
Yeah.
But you can't, the light switch turns your light on and off or maybe dims it. This I can swipe and touch one button, and like all the lights in my house or in my living room will set to a mood, the movie time, dim to a certain light, maybe throw in a little funky color just for some, fun. No, I'm not selling.
How many people in your household know successfully how to operate this thing?
Well, that's the thing. This would be much more intuitive than anything to date that I've had in my, and that's what, because I struggle, my family struggles with my smart home a lot, and I've left them for a week, and I'm terrified of what I'm going to find when I get home.
Jen once told me that her teenage children don't know how to use keys. because she's had smart locks for so long.
They've never
And it
used
just seems like a life skill that we should
Whoa.
we should come back to.
I don't like that at all.
I don't think my daughter will know how to use
They're
these.
not
She
gonna
doesn't
need-
encounter them.
They're not going to need a key. But I mean, what's he going
You
to
just be like, run faster. The door will open. Just speed it up, kid.
Just back up and try it again. It'll unlock this time. All right, Jen, you're going to come back for Q&A because there are, I know for sure, people in this audience who want to yell at us about Matter. But for now, thank you.
It's not allowed to be powerless, though.
He's here. It's allowed. Thank you, Jen.
All right, we got to take a quick break, and we will be right back.
Support for the show comes from Delta Airlines. When you fly, are you the type to gaze out the window and marvel at the natural beauty from above? Or are you more the type that snuggles into your seat, hunkering down with a book, movie, or maybe even this very podcast? Whatever your style, Delta is committed to providing a curated experience both on the ground and in the air. That's why they're rethinking how they use technology to better serve you and your travel experience. With powerful AI capabilities coming to their popular Fly Delta app in 2025, Delta is creating seamless and personalized moments while also making your journey easier. And once you're on board, you can enjoy an unparalleled Delta Sync experience with fast free Wi-Fi presented by T-Mobile on most domestic flights. Plus, explore new partnerships, features, and functionality unlocked with the SkyMiles membership. So you can sit back, relax, and let the world pass you by. Or you can plug in and enjoy Delta's industry-leading in-flight entertainment with something for everyone to discover on board. Go to deltaunlocks.com to learn more about the future of travel with Delta.
V's job this week was to wear all of the smart glasses and also all of the wearables, which I think means like touching gross things more than most people who go to CES. You've had a lot of like close encounters with gadgets that we don't recommend at this show.
Thanks for reminding me, David. I actually hadn't thought about that.
So your job is putting stuff that's been on other people's face in your face.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
You know,
Which violates every rule of CES. Can we talk about smart glasses for a minute?
yeah,
So
let's
I
talk
think
about smart glasses.
if there is like a device category that everybody was excited about this week, I feel like it's smart glasses.
Can I just read you the names of these companies that V typed into the list?
And these are the ones that I was like, okay, in my inbox, there's like at least 500,000 smart glass pitches. These are the ones that I selected as worthy of talking about.
Okay.
So,
Rockid, that's spelled R-O-K-I-D. Nuance, X-Real, everyone knows Nuance. Vuzix, Camelio,
Camello.
Even Realities, and then Halliday.
Yeah.
These are just, people are just coming. I'm pretty sure Halliday is a reference to Ready Player One, right? Because Halliday and Ready Player One.
Seems right.
But it's just like we're entering a new zone of companies. Like we're like reality hacker labs. Like it's like that's what we're gonna do.
Well, it just makes me think like this stuff must have gotten a lot easier to make in the relatively
Phenomenally
recent
easier to make. This is a thing that, so I've been a smart glasses skeptic for a really long time because they were just, I mean, we all know what happened with Google Glass, right? Glass holes, like, that's not really a thing. But I think in the last 2 to 3 years, the technology has miniaturized and basically expanded to a point where it's like, oh crap, this could actually happen. And that's kind of what we're seeing on the floor. So I think we've gotten to a point where everyone has agreed, oh, smart glasses, they're a thing. This is happening.
Wait, can we just put a little definition around smart glasses? Because it's pretty wide open right now. So the Meta Ray-Bans, I think Meta will call smart glasses,
Yes.
but they have no display component,
Yes.
right? That's a camera and
There's like categories. We
right,
have
voice
the-
assistant. And I think Meta is dramatically overselling. Does anybody here have them?
You,
All right.
you see. Yeah. A lot of people have them.
Substantially more people than pay for the art store. I just want to be clear about that too. Do you have them because they're a camera or because you're talking to Meta AI all the time? How many of you are talking to Meta AI all the time on your Ray-Bans? No, I would point out either everyone's embarrassed or no hands have gone up. How many of you are too embarrassed to admit that you're talking to weird Meta AI on your Ray-Bans all the time? How many of you are using the camera all the time because it's really convenient to have yeah, that's a lot of hands.
Yeah.
And so I think Meta is dramatically overselling the smart glass, the smartness of its smart glasses, because it's not a display.
Yeah.
It's just a camera on some glasses that look okay.
Sure.
But all the ones that we're talking about CS are displays.
Yes.
Right. That's the new category.
Well,
that
that
got easier to
everybody,
make.
including Meta, agrees that's the next thing.
So
Yeah, but like Meta is like, this is a surprise hit. Like smart glasses are the future. I'm like, weird little cameras are the future for you.
well, it's kind of both. It's
Yeah?
kind of both. I just think Meta rolled out the AI in such a way that people just don't know how to use it properly. And if they say multimodal one more time, I'm going to lose it. That's just like where I'm at. But you know, the interesting thing was like, let's talk about Rocket, right? So Rocket, it does everything that the Meta glasses do. They have a camera in it, but there is a display. And it's a pretty cool display, but I think what they call this type of display is a monocular monochrome display.
Monocular monochrome display. I like that.
Monocular monochrome display with micro etched displays in the lenses. So like you look at them, they look like a normal pair of glasses. They are much lighter than the Meta Ray-Bans because weight, we've talked about this a lot. The weight is kind of a deal breaker sometimes when you're wearing them. So they're quite light. You can't actually see the display unless you like the light hits you in a certain way. It's etched into the actual glass. But when you look into it, you can see kind of like if you're thinking of a military fighter jet and that type of green laser looking display in there, you can see it.
Okay.
It's an actual display. And in the demo I got, the person was speaking to me in Chinese and I could see the translation happening in real time.
Really?
And then I could say something to her and she would answer me in Chinese.
And there was no external commute? Was this going out to a cloud? Was this happening locally?
Well, that was a hard question because, again, she's speaking to me in Chinese. But,
Well, I'm just wondering, like,
yeah.
if you can do that locally on a pair of glasses with a reasonable battery life, like, that's
I mean,
cool
it is attached to your phone, right?
Sure,
So
okay.
Yeah.
that's basically, we're still at the point where your phone is powering all of this and it's over Bluetooth. It's not like computing everything locally on that particular thing, but it's pretty wild. And as like journalists, you can have a teleprompter on there. You're wearing a pair of glasses. It does not look like you're seeing anything. And this kind of subsect of the monocular green laser thing, I saw 3 of them, which I was like, oh, that's a mini trend within a big trend. Cool
Right.
stuff.
Right, there's
so-
a component here that everyone has decided they can use to make
And the reason why is because they have solved in a certain aspect the ambient light problem.
Oh.
So the ambient light problem with smart glasses is like you walk out into the sun and you can't see shit because it's the sun. It like blinds everything out. So there's no point in a smart glass if you can't see the display that you paid a lot of money for. But with the green, it's easier on your eyeballs. So like green light is apparently the healthiest for your eye. It's the easiest to see, and it borrows from military technology because the contrast is really great.
I will say what you just said is alarmingly similar to how Humane described the projector on the pin, and that didn't go super great.
No, it didn't. But it's like a little
Did Humane
different
ever say
because-
they borrowed from military technology?
No, but they were big on green lasers and how they were going to be useful
Yeah.
in sunlight.
That
And then you
is-
go outside and it's
But
like, what
that's
if it
because
didn't work
it's
at all?
outside in the sunlight. Like
Right.
so like Halliday's solution to that. And I found Halliday to be the most finicky of the 3 with the smallest amount because it's like this tiny little dot. It's held in like the bar of it. So like when you think about wearing smart glasses and where the display appears, it's actually like in the bar itself. So when you're talking to someone, they're just basically doing this the entire time, looking up into the corner. And so it
I
looks
feel
like they're
like how
rolling
is
your
the-
eyes at you the entire time.
Well, so I'm curious for this because you got to see them. But,
Yeah.
you know, earlier we were talking about, like, is there a product at CES that everyone was talking about? And, like, the Halliday glasses are the closest to it. And then I think a lot of people got the demo and had that experience and it stopped being the thing that everyone was talking about.
It seemed much more exciting at the beginning of the week than I think it turned out to be
So-
once people started trying it.
So, like, here's the thing: smart glasses, yeah, but the most annoying thing about XR, smart glasses, any of these things is that you have to see it to believe it. And, you know, when we're thinking about making videos for these things and trying to like convey to people like, oh, this is actually cool. Literally, you're taking these glasses, you're taking your phone, and you're like, if I angle the thing in the right way, I can get a really blurry half portion of the green laser that you're gonna see. So it's really hard to convey to people that. And like the Halliday thing, I think they got in early at the show, which was like good for them. But like you're literally like, I don't know. And it's not as discreet because when you talk to someone, you can see a green dot in their eye. Like just
Oh.
a green dot in their eye. And you're like, that's weird.
That's my targeting laser for the robot.
That's my target. I'm an Android robot with a green
So
dot.
all
in
of
my
these,
eye.
so you talked about the demo of the translation. Like we've always talked about, there's a lot of problems between here and the dream of AR glasses, right?
Mhm.
So you need a display, which it seems like some people are getting closer to one display solution that you can put on reasonably lightweight glasses. You need compute, and it sounds like we're offloading that to the phone.
For now, yeah.
Then you need a battery that is not heavy but
Some of
provides
them,
enough battery life.
You need a battery, the more advanced it is, for sure.
And then you like need stuff to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like you need to like augment reality. Like the goal is like I say this all the time. If you can just make me a pair of glasses where you can just tell me your name, like I'll buy them in a heartbeat. The problem is you need to build like a worldwide facial
Just give
recognition
Nilay the
database.
surveillance state and everything will be fine.
And it's we're headed there anyway.
Okay, so like when
let's
we
give me
talk-
the glasses. But you need to like build all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And it seems like the ones here, they're really focused on like display.
So like what it is now and what I've seen on the floor is that we have all agreed that we've agreed on smart glasses with all these companies. What we've not agreed on is how to do them. So what you have at CES is a bunch of people going smart glasses, and now we're going to throw so much spaghetti on the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out, and like Google told me this when I went to see the Android XR demos of their smart glasses prototype, is that you cannot approach it from one way. You have to approach it from all other ways. So the thing about Meta's glasses that kind of really kicked the door open is it got normal people thinking like, oh, I have a use for this. I'm going to for me, I'm going to take so many videos of my cats and they're not going to be freaked out because I have a phone in their face. And it sounds really stupid, but that actually is a thing that gets people going toward it. And then for some of these people, they're like, oh, you know what? Teleprompters. How many people would, if you have to speak on anything, how many of you would love to have a little teleprompter in front of your eyes that you can read that no one knows that you're reading? Like, it's great. You could have notes in something. Like, you can travel to a different country and your phone's in your pocket, but you can talk to someone and understand what they're saying. Like, that's pretty cool if you think about that.
Yeah.
So those are like real life use cases. So you have people approaching from the style first, like the SLR Luxottica people. They're just like, I saw them today. They were very Italian, very stylish. I felt like a schlub next to them. But they were like, we want things that people use. So the Nuance Audio ones, they are over-the-counter hearing aids in a glasses format because it reduces stigma. It can still like noise cancel to a certain, is really cool because if I look at David and he's talking, it'll amplify his voice. But then if I turn away from him, it'll cancel him out. So like
that's the goal. That's
a great
the
idea.
you want.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool,
Yeah.
and it supports all prescriptions, and it's like kind of geared towards the elderly who need glasses to see and can't hear. So that's like a real use case that they have. And then you have
That's
people
great.
on like the other end of the spectrum, like the Vuzixes and the X-Real, and they're like, we're the future. You will be watching movies on your glasses and like everything will be seen and there'll be a little, so they had me like AI prompt a fat cat with unicorn wings that I could just like pinch to be large. And I'm like, sure, that's a thing. That's smart.
But like that's a display. Like what they're
That's
saying
a
is like we
display.
can put a display in front of your eyes.
But
we
Nuance
don't know
has
what's
no
going to be on
display.
there.
Nuance has no display. That's just
Right.
audio only. So like I think in the transition, like Bose kind of kicked it off with the glasses with just making them audio. That's cool. Camelo has no display. The cool thing about Camelo, and this is the only cool thing, is that you slide, you press a button, and it changes the color of the lens. And I'm like,
That's why I thought it was called Camelio. I just want to
Yeah.
be very honest.
Yeah.
It
So, like-
probably
not.
should be.
but you hear that on paper and you're like, that's stupid. Then you go into the thing and you're like, oh, it changes colors. I'm so cool. Or like you change the tint. So it's like, oh, it's really bright out. I need the tint to be full of the way. Or if you're like me and you're shady, you're like, oh, I don't like this person. I'm going to pull it all the way to dark so I can make eyes at them. And
I love the idea that you're wearing your glasses and just ruthlessly like subtweeting people.
Oh, for
like
sure.
you're like, goodbye.
Goodbye.
And then you like turn your head, you're like, I can't hear you anymore.
I can't. It was like, oh, yeah.
It does
hide
seem
that, yeah.
like all of this, right? There's some part of it's like I think really fun, right? This is all very innovative. We're all going to try a bunch of stuff, but it also feels like, well, we can't make a watch, right? Like no one's going to buy a smartwatch that isn't an Apple or a Google or a Samsung ecosystem device. So we're going to mount a computer to your face. Here's a bunch of face stuff.
I mean, the number one problem with the face stuff is that we are so vain as a species. Like kids cry when they find out they have to wear glasses because, oh my God, they have to wear glasses. If you're David, who routinely tells me it's 20/20 vision. Thanks, David.
People say I have the best vision.
Okay,
lot
people
of
say
people
that
say
David has the best
Many
vision.
people
A
have been
lot
saying.
of people say
Like,
that.
why would you wear glasses, right? Unless there's a function for it. You're just
I would like people to know that I don't need glasses.
Yeah.
Like I want the opposite of glasses.
Right. But if you're like me and you're basically a blind bat, and if you look at my phone, the text is so large, you're used to wearing glasses. And so then it becomes more functional because it's something you're already wearing. But that's a huge problem. Prescriptions are a huge problem. If you're blind like me, -9, -8, huge astigmatism. Some of these glasses can't support my actual thing. So then it's like, and everyone's face is different. Everyone's aesthetic is different. Mass producing these things. There's so many different challenges towards smart glasses. So it's not like we're all going to be wearing these tomorrow. But I do think they've decided, for whatever reason, yes, this is possible. Throw everything at the wall. See what sticks. See what is the way forward. And they all believe that it will converge at this point where we have computers on our faces. If we get there,
that's
we'll
the
see.
CES story right there.
That's the CES story.
Like, just pick a thing that maybe will happen in a decade and let's try some weird stuff about it.
Yeah.
basically.
I love
That's
I will
CES.
remind you, of course, of my chart of Wearable bullshit. Do you know about the chart? 2 axes. One is utility and one is fiddliness. And you need to have vastly more utility than fiddliness or you're a failure. And face is like a -500.
I propose.
If you put something on your face, it has to be so useful.
It does, but I also propose that we actually visualize this graph, and every single time I do a wearable review, we have the graph in here.
We can do this. AI can
And
do this for us.
AI can do this for us, and so
It will be lies. It will
when
not be accurate.
when I take briefings, I can go, okay, here's the Verge approved graph. Please point to where on this graph your product is. That would
I'm
make my
telling you.
life so much easier. I'm just saying.
I'm correct about this. I think Joanna stole this in the journal recently, so now we have to take it back. Just putting it out there. Okay, last thing I want to talk to you about, V, and then
We have to quit. We've gone way over. We
gone
need to
over?
let these
Yeah.
poor people go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll hang out after, but let's end the podcast and go hang out with these nice people.
I just wanted to talk about Marumi for 1 second.
No, you can't. It's
Okay.
not allowed.
There's a weird
It's
robot that just
adorable.
hugs you. It's like a hugging robot. Go find the hugging robot.
It's
Go find the Huggy Robot.
All right.
There's the title of the episode.
Thank you all for joining us. We have gone way over. It's wonderful to be here with you. Thank you to Delta for bringing us Brooklyn Bowl, which is amazing. Just like looking at my giant face next to our logos on bowling alley screens this whole time has been delightful for me. My ego is very healthy. I appreciate all of you. Frame TV owners, we can get a drink in a corner and really work through it. That's it. That's Vergecast. Rock and roll.
And that's it for the Vergecast this week. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call at 866-VERGE11. The Vergecast is a production of The Verge and Vox Media Podcast Network. Our show is produced by Liam James, Will Poor, and Eric Gomez. And that's it. We'll see you next week.
Support for the show comes from Delta Airlines. Delta believes that every journey should be as unique as you are, so they're leveraging digital tools to put you and your preferences at the center of every trip. Delta is evolving the in-flight entertainment experience with new partnerships, features, and functionalities unlocked by your SkyMiles membership. With fast, free Delta Sync Wi-Fi presented by T-Mobile on most domestic flights and personalized seatback entertainment, there's always something new to discover on Delta. Go to deltaunlocks.com to learn more about the future of travel with Delta.